Hey, Yinz guys and gals, gather around for a journey like no other. It's time to hop on board the Yinz Goin podcast. From the rivers that meet at the point to form downtown Pittsburgh, to the sheer face of Half Dome, to the furthest corners of the globe, Matt will be your compass, your confidant, your companion as we explore the wonders of travel. So sit back, relax on your couch, and let the wanderlust whoosh over Yinz as we discover new horizons and reminisce about old favorites. With Matt by our side, the sky's the limit. Join Matt on the Yinz Goin podcast because when it comes to travel, the journey's just getting started. And now, without further ado, let's give a shot for your guide through the highways and byways of travel. Your planning partner, the man with the map, Matt Schraeder. Hi, Ian's Dune. Welcome to the Where Ian's Going podcast. I'm Matt. I'm your host. We're going to pick up where we left off with Donna talking about her Royal Caribbean cruise to the Mediterranean and Adriatic. We're going to start talking about the different ports of call that she had. And then going into some of the ports that you got to visit. Santorini, Greece,
Mm-hmm.
with the
Oh,
white
yeah.
buildings that look like snow
Beautiful.
from far away.
Beautiful, beautiful. From any distance, just from, when we pulled up there and I saw the famous, white cliff, or white buildings on the cliff with the blue domes. And we took a bus up this zigzag, super steep hill. And it was further away than I thought. We went to, the very top, and then there was quite a ways even after that. We went to the other side of the island, but it's so scenic. The whole time you're in this on this, it was a little, we were finally glad to get off that bus because it was up this hill, and then the roads were kind of bumpy, and we finally got to Santorini. It was crowded. It was crowded up there, but we looked around, different tons of souvenir areas. There's a church up there. I mean, it was just absolutely gorgeous. It was a beautiful day. The colors are vivid. It made for some beautiful pictures. And I kind of eavesdropped on a couple tour guides telling them about the different buildings. Because we did a self-guided, we did our own thing. So we didn't take any tours. So I kind of eavesdropped on a couple people telling them about the buildings. There was a church there we went into. The famous picture that everybody takes with the blue dome, we walked down there. You had to wait, though, in a pretty long line to get that picture. You can't just walk up and take a picture with the background the way you see in all the pictures. So we didn't do that exact picture, but we were like not too far from it. We just took a different picture. And then we looked around there for a little bit, and then we headed back. We were ready. They told us what time to be back, which number our bus was. Oh no, we had a tour on Santorini, didn't we, Joe? We didn't do a self-guided. We did a city tour. Yes. The buses were the tour, but the tour was actually them taking you there. You did your own thing, then the tour took you back. So it was just the bus ride is really all you're booking. Now they told us a little bit on the bus what we were going to see and different areas to look for out the windows, but it wasn't like a guided tour as you were, walking around. We kind of just did our own thing. They gave us some free time, to venture out a little bit. It was enjoyable. I wanted to have some way of getting transportation up to the hill because it's either that or you get a donkey, and I wasn't doing that, and I wasn't going to do the ride up with the cable car up the hill either. So I thought we chose the best one. Um, and then when you get up there, you have some free time too. So it worked out well.
Yeah, we've done cable cars a couple times, and uh, I'm not a big fan of heights, so I,
Yeah.
I tend to white knuckle those
Yeah.
a little bit.
If you'd have seen that cliff going up and I was on the window side and I'm looking down, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope this road does not give away.
And that Blue Dome Village is Oya, Oia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then you had Fira, went to Fira for dinner, Fira. Is that the place you did for dinner?
Yeah, that was really nice. They took us, I think we were trying to time it with the sunset, which it worked out. We got done with dinner a little bit sooner than the sunset. So we kind of finished, well, we met some people. We were seated with people we'd never met, and they weren't necessarily all from the cruise. They were on a different ship. So we got to know some people there, and they were actually from the United States. So we talked about cruising. They were big royal cruisers. And then after dinner, we knew that the sun was going to be setting soon. So we kind of just hung around up there over the cliff there. And everybody was lined up along the wall to get their sunset pictures. It wasn't a pure cloudless day, but it was just about almost pretty. It was the sun was a little bit behind a cloud, but it turned out really nice. And there was restaurants all along this cliff. Now ours was indoors, it was like an open air restaurant, but it was indoors. And some of the other ones were nice because you could be like right on the cliff and just sit there at your table for the sunset. But it was okay. We walked around. I took pictures of some little cats and dogs and things like that. And then we made our way back to the bus. But we were ready. That was a long day. That was a really, really long. All of our tours, because all of our cities were back to back, like Santorini, Mykonos, Athens. So we had tours scheduled every day, and they were long, long days. So we were glad to get back to the bus and then back to the ship. It was a
And neat thing on the ship is that they have the day of the week in the elevator. So whenever you're on cruise time, you know what day it is.
Yeah, that was helpful. Like because it's such a long cruise, you're like, what day is this even? Like I don't even know what day it is, you know? Like you remember you walk in and you go, okay, you know what day it is, and then you know what tour you're taking. It just kind of, it helps me because when you wake up, you're just it's a long cruise. And you know like every day is a different port. You just have to keep it all straight. So that helped.
Yeah, typical vacation thing. What day is today? I don't know.
Typical. Yep.
We're on
Yep.
vacation, doesn't matter.
Yep.
Uh, Although for the cruise, it's like, what day is today? It's Tuesday. Okay, we're in Mykonos. Got it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I made the reservations for these tours. So I remembered the order. Like I knew the next day was Mykonos because I had been on the app and I had been putting the day in and looking at the tours that I wanted to do. So, I knew, okay, Mykonos is tomorrow. And there were some people on the ship that were calling it Mykonos. And I didn't want to correct them, but I knew that wasn't right. Like I've heard the Greece people, the people in Greece, the residents calling it Mykonos. I mean, they kept saying Mykonos, but I didn't say anything.
well, unless they own it, then it literally is my Konos. So I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Then you did a tour there, and they have a lot of churches, over
Oh,
800
tons.
churches
Yeah, we
there.
passed a lot of churches. Some of them, you're thinking church over here, big, big building. No, some of these were just like little, maybe six pews or something in it. They were actually like residents of the town. If you were considered to have like money, you had a church. So it was sort of it's the way everything's on this hill, the houses these little buildings would be right next to them. So there'd be enough room for just that family and maybe a few other people. So she was explaining to us that 800 sounds like a lot, but a lot of them are those little residential church houses, like that actually belong to people.
Having your individual chapel in your house, not bad.
Yeah, yeah, they weren't anything fancy. We didn't actually go in any of those, but we did see some of the bigger, like a Roman Catholic church. We went in there. And some of them were like little temples, like in the pathways along when you're in the town. And the churches were like you just walk in, there's a couple seats, and they're just so ornate. There's all kind of like there's you don't know what to look at. Like I tried to get a picture and back up a little bit to take it all in because there was just so much to look at. Really pretty though. Really, the Roman Catholic Church had candles lit, and they were showing us that it was really old. And I guess they still use it, but I don't know when because there's always people and there's always tours. So I don't know if they just don't do these on a certain day of the week. I don't know, but they were nice. We definitely wanted to see, to go in one of them, and there was, you have to duck your head down because the doorways aren't real big, and then you step down into the church, the one we were in. And I was actually looking for a place to sit. I was like, oh, I want to sit on this church pew for a couple minutes here and relax.
Although
Yeah.
you did get a chance to sit whenever you went to lunch. You had a restaurant there.
Yeah, that was nice. The one, I think it was Mykonos, where they had like a little snack area for us, and they gave us white or red wine. Um, I just got water, and all the water over there is not like tap water, it's all bottled. When you ask for
Hmm.
water, they bring out fresh bottled water for you. So I had water, and they gave us like these Greek cookies, which I thought were pretty good. And it wasn't, I wouldn't really call it like a meal as far as, you know, what you're going to get in a restaurant, but it was just like a little snack. And, the group, one thing I noticed about Greece, everywhere we went, was how beautiful the women are over there. They're just so pretty with the dark hair and, um, that they're just so nice and they're all tan and it just I just thought they were really really pretty. Everyone that we saw, like all the tour guide people and the ones in the town and well, the tour guide was telling us at night these towns turn into like a different atmosphere, and it's not exactly tourism friendly. It's more of a party atmosphere. And she was telling us that it's absolutely nothing. The daytime is nothing like the nighttime. And so that she showed us a couple examples of some nightclubs and famous people go to these nightclubs. And, we weren't there long enough to do anything at night. I wouldn't do it anyways. I wouldn't want to like have to navigate these places in the dark because there's so many like hills and steps and nothing. This walkways weren't that smooth. So we were just there for the day tour and let the nightlife be its own thing. We went back to the ship by then. But it
And
was
that is the
pretty
one.
at night too. Like the scenery of the hills with the lights and everything, it was pretty at night too.
Yeah, that's the one thing though. If you do take the a cruise, is that you don't get the nightlife of the cities. You're only going to get to see them during the day. So that's one of the downsides of doing the cruise versus actually staying in a place.
Right,
But
right. Yeah, that's the only thing. Well, our Mykonos tour that I booked was a selfie tour. Because I thought, well, a selfie tour is going to take you to some pretty nice places so you can get great pictures. So I thought that was my reasoning with that. So they gave us all selfie sticks and they showed us how to put our phone, because I've never used a selfie stick. So we put it on our phone and they showed us the different areas to like how to hold your hand out and get like a better angle. They showed us things like that. So we got some nice pictures using the selfie stick. And it wasn't like, again, it was not a guided tour where we got an in-depth look at everything. She kind of just, talked to us in our little earpiece and told us different things, but it wasn't in depth. It was mainly, about the windmills, the areas that be careful walking down, things like that. But it was nice because I never used a selfie stick and it kind of got us both in the picture. If we wanted to take a picture, we had that selfie stick instead of, trying to like use the length of your arm, which is impossible anymore. So, having that selfie stick, I says, man, now I want a selfie stick because I feel like I can get like better backgrounds, than holding it so close with your hand. So that was a fun thing. I enjoyed that.
and Donna just mentioned the windmills because it will be windy there, so be prepared.
Yeah, it was very windy. Like I actually used my selfie stick to hold my hat on. Like I just it was just easier because I didn't have to like go like this all the way up with my arm. I just used my selfie stick and reached up and it held it in place. But even that, like you had to really be careful because I wore a hat every day just for sun. And oh my gosh, like it would have blown right off into the water.
And that day there was a 5.5 magnitude earthquake in Athens, which
Yeah,
was your stop the next day.
yeah, that was our stop the next day. And, people were saying they felt it. Like I didn't, being on a ship, I don't think we would feel it. But everybody was saying, like I heard of people talking, like they felt it. Some of the people on the cruise, I don't know where they were, but they said they felt it. Now that's my second earthquake. There was one in California when I was there, but I didn't feel, well, I did feel that way. Yeah, I did feel it, but it wasn't so much feel it as everything around me was shaking. in California, but in Athens, that's a pretty big size. And when we went the next day, we didn't see any damage, so I don't know. I don't know, how that works. It must have, I mean, the center of the earthquake was in Athens, but it's a rather large town. Like we were surprised, like the size of it and how much of a city it is. I don't know why I thought it was more like mostly ruins, but it's this huge, huge city. So that was, being that it was our last stop, we just, I did have something booked, but it looked really difficult to get to the meeting spot. And it wasn't a Royal tour, like you couldn't book it through Royal. So I canceled it because I had no idea how I would get from the ship to where the tour was in the city that I've never been. So I decided we'll just do our own thing. And we did a hop on, hop off bus. And we only wanted to go to the Acropolis and Parthenon. And what I did book was just that. Like they take you there, you see it, you get back on the bus whenever you want. There was no time limit except for the ship being, when it was ready to leave. And then we were ready. After that day and getting the bus and finding the right color to take us back to the port, we did a little bit of sightseeing around the port area where they had a couple souvenir shops. We had some gelato, and then we were pretty much across the port from the ship. We just walked ourselves back to the ship. It was a long day because the Parthenon was way at the top of the Acropolis, like walking up the steps and the stone areas that aren't real developed, and it's just all, there it is. Like you get to it and you get up there and it's crowded and there's lots of, there was construction going on. They were like refurbishing. They had some scaffolding put up. So, and then of course, that's the day I forgot my water. So it was hot. And I just was looking for, everybody else had water. And I was like, oh my God, there has to be water somewhere. And somebody heard me say that and they said, oh, there's up at the top of the hill over there. There's a water, it was like you put the money in and it was just water. I don't think it was pop or anything. It was just water. But the guy was filling it up. So he just handed me. I gave him like €1 or €3 or whatever. I gave that to him and he handed me a cold water. So I was really glad to get that. And there was no place really to sit up there. One lady was sitting on the ruins. And the guide, whoever the guide was with the particular, I don't know what tour it was, they were like, ma'am, please don't sit on the ruins. That's not a seat. That's not a bench. And she goes, but I'm tired. And she had to get up because she was sitting on an old ruin. So I was making sure I didn't do that. But yeah, it was really something. Like it's one of those times you're like, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm actually in Greece looking at the Parthenon. However, we were going by all these ruins where there was like an old stadium with this stone seating. Oh my gosh, it was really something.
Yeah, and of course the water had to be at the top of the hill, so you have to walk your
Yeah.
way
Well,
up there.
then when we came back down, we came down the other side. Well, there was like a snack bar, and we didn't see any of that on the way up. We entered like, I think we entered on the north because when I got, we were on one of those double-decker buses to get there. And they dropped us off and said, follow the path, you'll go. So we went right up. Well, coming back, I couldn't find that same bus, but here we were on the other side, and I didn't know it. So the little brochure that I had said, call this number if you're lost and you can't find the right bus. So I called the lady. I said, I think we're on the south entrance. And she said, oh, okay. She goes, what are you looking at right now? And I said, well, I see a lot of buses but with different colors, and I think we need a purple one. And she was real nice. I thought I called her at home. It was weird. I had like there was all this background noise. And I said, I'm not sure, where to catch the bus that takes us back to the port. And she said, we'll go across the street, and when the purple bus comes, get on that one. Or maybe I thought it was purple. She said it was brown, but I thought it was like a dark purple. And I said, okay. She goes, walk. So as I was walking over there, she goes, is that you? And she goes, turn around to your right. And there she was. It was the lady. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I thought I was calling you at home or something or at an office or something. And she goes, no, no, I'm here. I'm here to help people. And she goes, just go over there and get on the next brown one. So we found that. And then we rode that double-decker bus back to the next sort of you could get off at any time, but I go, we just want the last stop, back to the thing. So when we got off, she said, you're going to get off at the intersection you got on. It'll be take you to the same place. So that's where we got off. And when I crossed the road, everybody was crossing the road. That our bus was right over there. And I get over there and there she was there. And I said, how did you get back here? You were just at the other side. She goes, I'm everywhere. So they told us, we follow this group. She said, follow, this is going to the port. So we followed that group. We finally got back to the port. But it wasn't the port, it was the port, but it wasn't our ship. It was just an area where they had restaurants, and that's where we had the gelato. So I said, let's go, back to the ship. But it looked pretty far to me, but there was no like taxi or anything to take you there. I said, let's just walk. It was hot, but we walked back all around the dock. There was all kind of industrial things unloading on different ships, and we walked back to the ship. And oh my gosh, I was just so glad to get back
Mhm.
in the cool, air-conditioned ship.
Yeah. And the lady being there, I guess that explains the background noise, what you were hearing.
Yeah, she was right there, and I did not realize. But she recognized me. Like somehow she heard me talking, and she probably was expecting to see me because she looked like she was walking right towards me, where I didn't realize she was there. So that worked out though. But I'm glad we didn't go into the city because it was just too hustle bustle for us. I would have got lost. I'm glad I canceled the original tour, and they must have opened up spots for the Acropolis and Parthenon because when I originally looked at that, it looked like there was nothing left. But like a week before the cruise, I was like, man, I'll check again. And then there it was. So I hurried up and grabbed that. And I'm glad we did it. There was older people trying to make it up that hill, and some of them just couldn't do it. It wasn't really handicap friendly. There's no way to get you up there. So you have to be able to walk and in the heat, and it's far. It's pretty high. So, and once you get up there to get on the other side, you have to go to the top. Like you have to come down the other side. So you walk around, all of these ruins, these big columns, and we walked through one of them, actually right through, and they said, don't touch the marble. So they had like a rope for us to hold on to. So we didn't want to touch the marble because they were watching. So, and then I heard like last week they finished up their refurbishing. So all that scaffolding and everything is probably gone now.
Yeah,
But
and
we
be
still got
careful.
nice pictures.
Yeah, and be careful there because the ground is very rocky. So you have to like almost be a mountain goat not to trip over
Oh, it
anything.
was a couple times we slid into gravel. And then one time, the marble, there was water on the marble and I slipped and I actually went back a little bit. Like I didn't see the water. There's just it's just marble and, you know, gravel that was loose. It wasn't anything. And it almost looked like they sandblasted some stuff and then the rocks had just landed everywhere. And that's why it was hard to walk on. I had tennis shoes on, probably, probably could have had better shoes, but they're so comfortable. So I just wear the same shoes everywhere I go because they are so comfortable. So that was our Athens experience.
But then you had a day at sea that you could recover.
Yeah, I had training for 4 or 5 hours the next day and then an afternoon to ourselves. So that was nice. And that's the day we had the chops luncheon. Yeah, we saw the ice show. We did a little bit of mini golf. We were trying to do on days at sea is a perfect time because we had other things scheduled on the port days. So we had to use these days well. Um, we had drinks. I was just kind of like I was passing like the heel of Italy. I kept checking the port or the ship's camera where we were, and then I looked on my phone and I used my Google Maps, and sure enough, it pulled up exactly where we were, and it was just really neat as we're going to Croatia to realize we were just sailing around the boot of Italy, bringing us up into Croatia. And I didn't know what to expect with Croatia, but we really enjoyed that port. It was really nice. It's one of
And
our favorite ports.
and before we get there though, Donna kind of glossed over this. She's like, "Yeah, we saw the ice show. They have an ice skating rink and an ice show
Oh
on
yeah,
this on the ship."
yeah. We did the ice show, and we had front row seats for that. So, and it was excellent. I was not expecting. You can also have public skating, like you can get your they rent skates. You can do that too. But I didn't do that. But I wanted to see the ice show, and this was like the next to the last night that it was going to be showing. And so I saved seats for my friends, two of my friends. And oh my gosh, it was a really good ice show. Like it was very entertaining. And it was like 45 minutes. It wasn't that long. But it was really, the talent was really good. I don't know how, well, the ship was never rocky. It wasn't one of those ships where you're like, oh, you're a little bit of a rocky voyage. But um, it was just a really excellent show. And then after that, I think we called it a night after that.
But that says something about the talent of the skaters that, yeah, one, you got to skate on ice skates. Two, you got to do it on a ship that might be moving some. So
Especially the
definitely need
jumping, like
yeah.
the jumps. And they were doing backflips and double axles and things like that, like things that, you know, I would never have, I just didn't expect that. And it wasn't just like just single skaters skating around. They were doing an actual show where they had props and everything. Like it was really, really good. It was way better than I expected it to be. Really good skaters. And it was modern songs, like modern music. It was holiday themed. So they were doing Christmas songs, Halloween songs. Like it was I think it was called Holiday Spectacular on Ice or something like that. And it was just really entertaining. Actually, I would if it I don't know the next night if it was going to be on, but I wouldn't even mind seeing it again. Like it was really, really good. And we had a good, we were getting like ice shavings. Like that's how close we were when they were skating. So I really did enjoy it.
And then you also got some mudslides or mud Sundays too that night.
Oh my gosh, did you see that picture?
Oh
That was
yeah.
that was not a mudslide. It was like ice cream with the chocolate, and then when it melted, it was a mudslide. But it didn't even go through the straw. Like it wasn't, it was still good. It was big too. Like I didn't know it was going to be that big. I didn't even know he was getting that for me. He just came back with it. I'm like, oh my gosh, and this is before dinner.
And then as Donna mentioned, next day was Spit, Croatia. We got to do a river cruise and a
think it
city
was called,
tour.
is it Split?
Or Split, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
I missed a
Split.
letter.
Um, yeah, we had a river cruise. I thought that would be an interesting thing to book, so I booked that. Um, we did a city tour there. We had a funny tour guide. Oh my gosh, he was funny. He was always counting and then he would lose count. He goes, "Everybody stand still so I could count you." Like he was just so funny. And he kept saying that. He goes, "Oh, you made me lose count." And then he would do it again. And he just looked like I've seen someone on TV somewhere like him, and I can't think of who it was. He was just a super tall guy, super funny, just like sort of like a big oaf. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of felt like just it was just and I can't explain it. He wasn't formal at all. It was very informal, talking to us, and the whole time through our little earpieces. Um, but it was just I don't know. Like he just was so. He goes, "Well, my mom does this, and I do it part time," and he was just making us laugh. But anyways, we did the city tour there. Oh gosh, beautiful country, green hills, huge hills, just a gorgeous country. And then um, we stopped at a little halfway through this river tour, which I thought it'd be a bigger boat. It was kind of a small boat, but it was beautifully, it was really scenic. There was other little boats passing us. And then we went to this sort of like a little cove area where there was pavilions and they were playing accordion. He was playing at lunch. We had wine. There was bread served, wine and cheese. There was a couple kids on this, so they had to drink like ginger ale or something, It was water or what you could have the wine or water. So everybody, they came around and poured. I just, had some red wine. and it was relaxing. It was really nice to sit there. We did that for about 45 minutes or so, and then we headed back. I thought we'd go back by boat, but we went back by a bus, back to the port. But I really enjoyed it. It was a nice way to wind up the last city on our tours, and I've always wondered what Croatia looked like. It's way greener than I thought. It's not a big city. It's just like a little village in the mountains. That's the best way to describe it. And the water was gorgeous. Green, beautiful green, blue water. It was really pretty. I'd go back there again too.
And then you wound up your trip going to Ravenna, Italy, where there's not a whole lot of cabs.
Yeah, we went back to our original port of Ravenna. That's, it left us off where we took um where we started our cruise. And they told us do the ship transportation because you will not get a cab. They just don't come out that far because it's not really the port's not being used that much while they're refurbishing. So what we did was we booked the Royal Transportation. We still had another night to go in Italy, but these Royal Transportation does not go to hotels. It goes to the airport. So we booked a trip back to the airport where we caught another way to get like another transportation mode of transportation back to the Crown Plaza. So that was, we didn't know where we were going there either. It was a bus. Once we got there, it was a bus because it was not along the canals. So they actually used roads. So we had a bus back. We got back on, found the Crown Plaza, checked in. We were all kind of tired, and we had to be up next day pretty early for actually getting back to the airport. So we took another bus back, but we had dinner. That's when we had dinner in the hotel, and it was really, really good. And we didn't go anywhere. There was really, I thought we'd be back where we'd be near the transportation hub, but we weren't. So that was our evening, was just eating and then getting ready to pack up and leave. So that was the end of the trip, and we knew once we got to the airport, we'd be sitting for a long time, both there and then on the plane. But yeah, it was just a really great trip. I loved every minute of it. Lots of experiences for the first time. I feel like a little more knowledgeable on the different modes of transportation. And I just was always like a little intimidated by Europe. I didn't feel like this trip was like out of my wheelhouse. So I depended on my owner friends that had been there, and they kind of helped me navigate, helped me with reservations. I was a little bit scared of the airfare, like making sure I got the right flight for the time, and but it all worked out. Like I just looked at a lot of different options, and it just all worked out. So I was happy for that. Glad to be back in the old USA, you know. You're just always glad to get home.
Oh, I know that feeling, yes.
Mhm. I know you do. Yeah, it was good. I loved the training was well worth it, even without the cruise. The training was excellent, but the cruise just added to it. And I just really thankful to Royal for the opportunity. It was well worth the opportunity.
So, do you want to add an official travel tip?
One thing I would do different that I would recommend is before you get there, if you can, at your airport or at your bank, get some money, convert your USD to euros before you get there. I was constantly, like 2 or 3 times, I had to go to the ATM on the ship, and there was a little bit of a fee with that, converting our dollars to euros. And I was trying to get familiar with the coins. We used mostly the euros, the paper euros, but there's also the coins. And half the time I didn't know if I was getting the right change back or not because the coins, they all looked alike. And you really had to like look at it to see what you had. I just trusted what I got back was right. Um, but I would do that before you leave so that like my one friend, she converted. like $500. I think that's too much. I would say 250. If you convert 250 USD to the euros would be enough. We only converted 100 and I actually came back with money. Like we did not use all that. Now the restaurants there take your credit card. So you didn't have to worry about having, you could use euros, but you could use your card at the restaurants. They all accept that. But for souvenirs and things like that, we just like to have the cash because we don't know, the vendors, sometimes they didn't have the machine. You just don't know what on these little side stores, if they're going to have a machine or if they only take euros. And some of the places did say euros only. So have that ready when you get there, and you can always convert it back to, if you don't spend it all, you can always convert it back or just keep it for a souvenir.
Yeah, we have a little baggie of money from several different countries around the world
Yeah. Yeah.
that we have
Yeah,
left
it's
over.
nice. Like I brought my son back like a 5 and a 10. Um, I picked up a piece of that gravel um from the Acropolis, like from walking. I picked up a piece of that for a souvenir, just something like that. You just never know how old it is.
And there's a place in Pittsburgh in the Strip District. It's Salem's. It's the Slums Market. They have a couple grocery stores, and then there's the market thing. But in the market where you can buy, prepared food, they have on their one wall money from different countries that's pinned up there.
Oh, okay, that's neat. Yeah. Yeah, we're just so used to ours. So
Yeah.
I thought their money was like really nice. Like it didn't even look like it looked like Monopoly money. You know what I mean? Like it was pretty colors and I thought it was so ours all looks alike, our money. So except for the amount, but I thought it was kind of nice the way I thought it was, it's smaller or their money is smaller, but it was just better pretty colors.
Yeah, different colors, different sizes, different
Yeah.
shapes of the coins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, different. Yeah, so that was kind of neat, to have that experience. But um, I was, glad to get home. But I'm so glad we did it. We're still talking about it. But Joe just the other day said, I really enjoyed that. I'm so glad we did that because at first he didn't know if he wanted to go. He goes, well, you could take someone else. I'm like, no, I want you to see this. I want you to experience Europe because you may never get over there. So he's glad he really is glad he did. We still talk about the different, the crazy bus driver. He was like insane. Oh my gosh, he would pull up to a car in front of him, hit the brakes. Like one time I thought we were going to hit him. Like I was like dozing off and I went like, oh my God, what happened? And he's blasting the horn. And I was in the first seat, so it was so loud. And he goes, move. I'm like, I said, I literally said, stop. I don't even know if he understood me. I said, stop this. He was just so mean to people. And I guess that's what they do there. I don't know. I don't think Royal should be having him do their buses.
Yeah, and something else that Donna said about the credit cards. If you can find a credit card that does not have an international fee, that's a
Oh, yeah.
big, big thing that I got one through my bank that they were offering it a few years ago. And I was like, saw the offer. I was like, another credit card. Oh, no fee. Got it.
Yeah, that is a big thing because you probably will use that more than you think.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's just, you get a receipt and it's just better to have like that proof that you spent the money. But um yeah, the fee that adds up, you know. And I
Yeah.
wasn't sure like the euro, the conversion rate and all that. That was a little bit hard to get used to. So you could study up on that a little bit. You can use the conversion rate. Google has, you can Google it and find out stuff that way. And it changed all the time. Like it wasn't a lot of change, but it varies by day. So you just never know. I noticed that it was up and down.
Yeah. And my official travel tip is that whenever you go to see Europe, there's a lot of different ways you can do it, whether it's a river cruise, an ocean cruise, backpacking,
Right. Oh gosh.
crisscrossing yeah, you can crisscross the continent. How about that? On trains. You can do a combination of all these. You can cue the scenes from trains,
Yeah,
planes,
yeah,
trains,
yeah,
and
yeah.
automobiles, right?
Yeah, that's what the Europe is like that. Like you can the countries are so close together. It's like our states. So you can do different countries and trains will take you from one to the next, and it just seems like to me, that just seemed like so hard. But when you think about it, like our states are close together. So, those different countries like that, you can see so much on a vacation in Europe. A cruise ship is a nice way to go because a cruise ship or a river cruise to get you, even closer to the like the sightseeing and the main areas that you'd want to, like Eiffel Tower or something. I would like to go to France. I would like to go to Rome. I felt like I was so close to Rome and I didn't get to see it. You know what I mean? I would like to visit that. I would like to see Ireland. So there's still some things in my bucket list.
Yeah, my sister and her family went to Ireland for the Pittsburgh Steeler game.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm gonna have my sister on the podcast. She got a bad cold, and so we're waiting for her to, not have a nasally voice
Yeah,
whenever
yeah.
she uh talks to us. So, but she's gonna be on to talk about her trip to Ireland. So I'm
That would
excited to
be
hear about that.
nice. That looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah. And what Donna said about the different ways that what you want to do and where you want to go is going to play a part in how you're going to get there. So, you can't take an ocean cruise if you're going to go visit Switzerland, but they have, and then river cruises can only go places near the rivers. So, but if there's something you want to see along there, we can find, cruising can be very convenient if it's going to fit your itinerary.
Yeah.
That, as I mentioned before, you get to sleep in the same bed each night and you only unpack once unless you're going to add like a pre or post stay type thing. Food is that's on board is mostly included. You have a lot of entertainment options that are easy to get to. So talk to your travel advisor. We can find the best trip for you for Europe whenever you're going to go.
That is a good point. It's as much as you want to make it, or it's as relaxing as you want to make it. Like you can just do whatever, your sea days are the days that you can just take it easy, rest up for your next tour the next day, whatever you have going. Like um, it's really customizable. And there's so many different ships and itineraries now with cruising.
Yeah, and especially the river cruises, they really,
Oh,
really cater
yeah.
to you.
And those ships that, well, they're not really ships, they're like more like boats, but you'd never believe all you can do on those too. Like there's so much inside there. Like, the rooms are nice and they look out over the river. The local people are right on the shore. I really would love to do like an Alma Waterways river cruise. I would just love that.
We talked to our friend Maureen a little while ago about her trip on the waterways through France.
Yeah. Oh, see, I would love that. Because they
So
say, you know what they say? Cruise ships take you to, no, how's it go? Cruise ships take you to the city or the country. River cruises take you through them.
exactly.
So that's the difference.
Now, if you have a destination or experience that you'd like to have us discuss on the Where Yinz Goin podcast, or if you'd like to share a favorite destination or have a travel tip, feel free to contact me. I'd love to hear your feedback and ideas. Don, how can people get a hold of you?
My email is Donna at dreamsbydesigntravel.com. We have our Facebook page, Dreams by Design Travel. All of our agents have their Facebook page, which is Dreams by Design Travel with, and then the agent's name. So if you just Google on Facebook, Dreams by Design, a bunch of names will fall down in the search window. All of the names of the agents that we have, 30 some agents.
And now here at the podcast, we are on Facebook and X. We're at Where Yinz Goin, Yinz Y-N-Z Goin, Goin with the apostrophe. So, and all this information is going to be in the episode description. So, if you want to contact us to book a trip or have any questions, you know how to find us. You don't have to have written this down or have a photographic memory. Please like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, tell a friend. If you like what you heard, let others know so we can spread uh, and grow our podcast, get as many listeners as we can so they can enjoy all the stuff that you're enjoying. See, that's the thing. We're being friendly and we're sharing stuff because sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring, yeah.
So, Donna, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate the chance to go through your European cruise again, or
Thanks.
Mediterranean cruise.
Yeah, cruising the Med. Thanks for having me on, Matt. It was nice to relive the experiences. Now I want to book another one.
And you can book one too. You can join Donna on her next trip, right?
Yeah, I would love to do
So,
something like that. Like just to have a cruise and have, like a guided agency cruise or something like that. That'd be fun.
All right, you convinced me. Let's book it.
Bye,
So, now everyone else, please join us next time. We're heading out in that. We'll see you later.
everybody.